We have a true legend on the show today.
She is absolutely my swivel idol.
I didn't know you had a swivel idol.
It's showtime. This is The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast, and your one and only source for all things show skiing, bringing you news, knowledge, and interviews with the legends and stars of our sport. Here are your hosts, Matt Heilman and Adam Schaller.
Welcome to The Ski Show, still the only media on the planet dedicated to the great sport of show skiing. Adam was correct. We do have a legend on the show today, one of the very best show skiers and swivel skiers to ever live. We can't wait to talk to the one and only Cheryl Bermeo.
Today's sponsors are Flyman Skis, custom-made jump skis, and featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. You can get yours at flymanskis.com. And by the Board Shop. All your summer and winter board sports gear is yours at bswake.com.
Our last episode, we did building a higher scoring show. That was met favorably. A lot of positive comments and good feedback on that.
Well, see, I knew that was going to happen because that was my idea.
It was your idea. People wanted more info and shop talk, and we gave it to them, and they liked it.
Great. We look forward to seeing a lot of high-scoring acts next year. Acts and shows. Yeah,
350 is the new 400.
that's right. Rock and roll.
That's right. And in show ski news, Adam, Eric Lebda and Bria Imsey finally got married after a 10-year courtship. We were at the wedding. That was awesome.
Seriously, it was awesome. I don't think awesome is the right word. I knew more people at that wedding than I knew at my own wedding. I mean, it was show skiers everywhere. People from all over. The Lymans came up. Caroline and Evan were there. Pete and Darian were there.
Pete Haggerty and Darian.
And by the
were
way,
there.
Pete is doing great. I mean,
he is.
In person, I talked to him. I'm sure he was sick of answering the question, "How you doing?" But man, he's doing fantastic. And what a wedding. And they were telling some stories of how they met, kind of during the ceremony. And I was like, I was there for that.
Yeah,
I was there for that. I was there. I mean, it's just amazing how far back a lot of these relationships we've made through show skiing, how far back they go, and it was a good time.
Yeah, the show ski connections are endless. So fun to see everybody together. And like you said, Pete, among others, he was singing karaoke at the end of the night. Like, he's good for him to be out in the wild and experiencing life, not just sitting around. So it was great to see everybody. Awesome stuff. Congrats to Eric and Bria. In other show ski news, Adam, there was a big pole event that took place in central Wisconsin, and holy cow, did they do some massive things. I just want to go through the few things that they did. So really don't know if this is all sanctioned or certified yet. They're doing Guinness World Records and NSSA records. They're likely all to be 29 strap doubles couples, 7 prefabs. They tried 8 a few times, got 7 out of 8. Interestingly, there's a video floating around of Wonder Lake doing 7 by themselves from back in the day. So of course they did, right? And they're awesome. They're so awesome at it. 73 ballet line. And Adam, you're going to love this. A world record 37 knee borders behind one boat.
I mean, that's awesome, but why would you do that?
Just to say you could. Just to say you could.
I mean, good for everybody that participated. As you read through those, 29 strap doubles, 7 prefabs, 73 in ballet. Nothing I would want to participate in. Like, good for everybody that did that, but man, the controlled chaos.
Well, yeah, and awesome organization by Eric Grant and all the crew. They used that boat that was built basically for the Shawano's boat with the triple 500s they used for the strap doubles and the ballet. And really it is about horsepower. And there's some posts floating out there that actually speak to this, but I talked to a couple people at the event. They have to have so much ballast in that boat so it doesn't do a tail stand when 29 strap doubles couples come tight, or 73 ballet. They're actually trying 75 ballet, 30 doubles. When those come tight, to not stand the boat up, not flip the boat over. They have so much ballast in the boat that the nose of the boat barely rides out of the water. Like it's perilously close to sinking the boat. They have so much ballast, and they've got it dialed in such a way that they've really maximized kind of what they can do, what they feel like they can do from a horsepower and boat capability standpoint. Probably can do a little bigger, but then you need to start thinking about how much is that boat going to stand up. The girls in the ballet line, like I would have thought that boat would have to be hauling ass, rolling out fast to pull off 75 ballet girls. Right. They said it was easy. Like it was like nothing. They weren't rolling out that hot, and they hit it, and it was spectacular.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So congrats to all the big pole participants. Awesome record. Such a great light that shines on our sport. Kudos to all. Great stuff. Adam, the Ski Show Awards are just around the corner, and our awards committee is hard at work. They're sifting through nominees. We have 32 awards categories, and those awards, I should interject here, are going to be made by Dan Jaws Jaworski and Championship Awards. He's going to be doing our Mad City Awards for our banquet coming up here, but he does all of our custom-made awards with Championship Awards. They're awesome. And this awards committee now has started the hours of work. They've had Zooms. We've got more scheduled. And ultimately, we're going to be coming up with the top 5 nominees in each category, and we're going to announce that later this fall. It'll probably be, end of November, early December when we have our live stream with the top 5 nominees. And then the winners are all going to be revealed live at our award show on Friday night at Think Tank, which will be Friday, February 28th.
Yeah, so when this podcast airs, we are almost exactly 5 months away.
Yeah.
Right? October, November, December, January. Yeah, 5 months.
Yeah.
Start working on your outfits, people.
Yeah.
I just ordered some pants. Got them a little big, make sure they're my fat pants because it's winter.
Yeah. But Cody Coffey keeps trying to talk me into a new theme for the awards show.
New theme?
So actually he this was at Eric and Bria's wedding. He's like, Matt, you got to do this. And I'm like, okay. And this is like the 3rd time he's done it. He thinks that it should be a beer tent, and that in the ballroom at Chula Vista, we should really erect a big white tent, and then along the wall is like snow fence, and we're in a beer tent, and he wants a beer tent vibe.
I mean, that could totally be done, but the beer tent vibe would nobody would be able to hear anything.
No, there'd be a lot of flip cup and nobody paying attention to awards.
Yep. I mean, we might as well not even announce it. We'll just put the winners up on a screen, and when you see your name, you can go up and get your award.
Yep, exactly.
Actually, it might be a lot easier. Good job, Cody. Like that.
Yeah, nice idea. All right, well, Adam, we're gonna do a new segment here. We'll see what our audience thinks, but we're gonna do a new segment called Hot Takes. Just like the name, you and I are going to each have our own hot take. It might be controversial, it could be funny. Maybe it's not that hot of a take at all, but here we go, hot takes. You ready? Ready for your hot take?
Well, I'm assuming since we're doing hot takes, this means no more trivia, which I'm all for. So, yeah, let's do some hot takes.
All right. I'll go ahead and start. My hot take this week is that ballet line scores are too high.
Really?
Now, every ballet girl listening to this just cringed.
Yep, just alienated half our audience.
They all want to tune out. They want to,
Okay, explain this. Why are ballet line scores too high?
So it's a product of our system, okay? Because when we have categories that only go to a max of 25 points, difficulty in particular, because we've got a chart for a lot of these acts now.
Okay.
If you got to think about fitting all team sizes of ballet line within one 25-point chart. So you've got the small team that's got an 8-girl ballet line. That's worth some difficulty points. And then you've got ballet lines up to record Aqua Jays did last year in a tournament of 32. So you got to fit all of those within a 25-point chart.
Okay.
And so really anything that is kind of 24 girls and up is scoring over 400 points. And not that it shouldn't, but you're seeing a lot of ballet lines win highest scoring act of the entire tournament. I think in more than one tournament this year that was the case. You're seeing 2 and 3 ballet lines in a tournament score 420 plus. Not that that's bad, but when you're comparing apples to oranges to other show acts, ballet scores the highest, and
like
I think
points.
Ballet scores are a little high.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
So take it for what it's worth. I don't think it's going to change anytime soon because it is our system. So the large, clean ballet lines. Now, to those girls' credit, you've seen our team, Adam. The amount of hours ballet lines spends on it, maybe they should score that high because of the hours ballet lines spend. Ballet line Facebook groups and videos and choreography and meetings and dance practice, pre-practice meetings, post-practice meetings, in between meetings, working on your arms, your spacing, your video analysis, all the things that they do, they spend more time than any show act in the show. So to their credit, maybe they deserve to score that high. But that's my hot take for today. All right. What's yours?
My hot take, probably, as I say, it won't be controversial, but if we do it, it will be. My hot take is a one-time only night show. Show skiers only. General public cannot attend this show. You need to be over the age of 18 to participate in the show, and you need to be over the age of 18 to watch the show. We want to turn it into a fundraiser. Fine, people can buy tickets. No cell phones, no cameras are allowed. This is the show that includes everything we've ever thought about doing in our own shows but couldn't because it's a family show, it's a home show, or it's being judged. So call it the NC-17 ski show. I mean, I've got pages and pages of notes that could...
What an idea!
that could be included in this.
And you do not have to be politically correct in this. This is
like people would have to sign a waiver. If you are... We are going to offend everybody. Right?
What about, is Safe Sport invited to this?
No, Safe Sport would be a topic of this. I mean, for sure. I mean, this would be, it would, yeah. I mean, if I had my way, it would be at the Bartlett site at night, under the lights, one time only. Just
as a fundraiser, an NC-17 adult only water ski show. I love this idea.
That's my hot take.
Wow. That is a hot take. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. We're going to run with this idea?
We'll see if, we get any feedback after I announce this. And if, somebody wanted to help coordinate this, I would be more than happy to take their help.
Awesome stuff. Well, there's this week's new segment called Hot Takes. Adam, you know what's not a hot take? Flyman skis. They're all over show ski docks everywhere you turn. Their custom-made jump skis and featherboard swivel skis are making waves with skiers everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. And these skis are made for skiers, by skiers. You can customize your own design. You can choose from one of their own stock designs, which are also awesome. The process is simple, and it's easy, and you can get your jump skis and swivel skis at affordable prices.
That's right. Skiers everywhere are using Flyman skis, and you can too. Visit their website at flymanskis.com. That's flymanskis.com. Time for our featured interview today. Cheryl Bermeo grew up skiing in the Midwest. She eventually took her talents to the professional ranks with a long career at Cypress Gardens, where she became one of the best swivel skiers on earth. She then transitioned to a career as a stunt woman. We are so excited to talk to Cheryl today. Let's welcome to the show Cheryl Bermeo. Hey, Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello. How are you? Thank you.
We are fantastic. It is very nice to meet you. I've heard the name for years and years and years. Watched you perform on video and live at Worlds, and so this is fantastic.
Oh, it was exciting to even be at Worlds too. Yeah, I don't remember a lot of people I know I met a lot of people there too, so I don't remember everybody.
Well,
Well,
you and Adam actually, so Adam's been on a few world teams as the announcer. You were not on the same
no.
world team because you
Okay.
were on 2014,
Yes.
Cheryl, and Adam was not on the team in 2014 that year. So you guys did not cross paths
Okay.
in that time.
Okay.
So
Well, normally I'm very forgetful, so that's why I wasn't sure.
Well, don't worry. I'm not very memorable, so it's all good.
No,
Um,
I'll
but
remember you.
we will get to worlds. So tell us, you grew up in the Midwest, correct?
I did in Kingsford, Michigan, Iron Mountain, Kingsford, the Twin Cities, up in Upper Peninsula.
Is that where you learned to ski?
I did. So my father, we had a cottage on a lake, and my we had a ski show called the Skeeters in town, and they asked the Lundy boys, or Lundy and a friend, to come and teach my sister and I how to water ski. And once I was water skiing, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I was completely in. My dad got a new boat and he took me skiing all the time. And if we had parties, I was constantly just like, me, I want to ski. I didn't care if anybody else skied. I wanted to ski.
How old were
And
you when you learned how to ski?
I think I was 7 years old when
Okay.
I learned. And then um, I wanted to be on the ski team. And I think it was somewhere around 12, 13 years old that I was on the ski team. I'm not really sure. I know I didn't have a driver's license, and I know I used to take my little Trail 70 from the house to the ski practice on Lake Antoine in Iron Mountain, Michigan. So I did that for, I guess they had the shows from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Every summer, I think we practiced a little bit before Memorial Day. It was cold, but I didn't care at the time. I was young, and I just loved it. So that's what I did. But we didn't have swivel skiing at that time.
So I was going to ask you that. Where did you learn how to swivel? So if you joined the team as a youngster, you probably learned how to climb pyramids and do doubles and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Where did the swivel skiing come in?
So um, when I went off to college, I wanted to get a summer job. And so I sent a postal mail, snail mail.
Hmm.
I sent it to all these different places where I could possibly water ski in a show, and I heard back from Bill Von Olen, and he asked me if I would come ski with him in Hollywood, and I was like, yeah, of course. And so that was going to be my first job. And he asked me if I swivel skied, and I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I had no clue. And he says, that's okay, don't worry about it. And he was kind of excited about my size because I was small and not tiny, but small. And I was eager and excited to learn. So I ended up uh, talking about the ticket and everything to get to Hollywood. I told him, which airport I was flying into, and he says, I'm not familiar with that airport. And I said, okay. And after a while, we figured out he was referring to Hollywood, Florida. And I was going to Hollywood, California.
California.
So I didn't know. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm fired before I even started. I thought for sure, why would he even call me back? Anyways, he did. And I ended up down in Hollywood, Florida, and Sally Winter was the lead female. So she took me under her wing, and almost all the girls didn't have. I think there was only two girls that had swivel experience, and I think that was Carol Sherson and some other girl. I'm blanking on her name, and Sally just took us out onto the intercoastal because the ski show was in this tiny, tiny little lake that you really couldn't learn on. And so we would go on the intercoastal, and she would work with us on swivel skiing, and I learned toe turns. And well, she's told me, but I mean, she always, um, I think, knew that I had potential. She knew that I had drive. She knew I was excited. She just took me under her wing and said, let's go. And she taught me. So she's
You know
the
what's
one.
amazing about that is you're talking now college age, 18, 19, 20 years old, right?
18.
18. So you didn't even touch a swivel ski until you were 18 years old. And it's funny because today, like, so many girls feel pressure to be great at such a young age. Like, if they feel like if they're not doing 720s at 13 and 14 years old, they're never going to be good enough. And
No.
somebody like you, your story is fascinating because you didn't even touch a swivel ski till you were 18 years old, and then
Yeah.
you went on to become one of the best ever in that discipline. And so for girls that are younger that feel like it's that they're in a
Impossible.
hurry to be great, you're not in a hurry. You've got time.
Yep. Yep.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
even didn't start ballet lessons or dance lessons in general until I was 18. Well, yeah, 18 at Cypress Gardens once I got there. Actually, I must have been 19 when I got to Cypress Gardens. And I had wanted dance classes when I was younger, and we came from this small town, and my parents were like, no. I don't know if I don't know why, but they always said no. And so I was like, please, I want to do ballet. And just never did until I got to Cypress Gardens. And actually, I think I was 20 when I got to Cypress Gardens.
Okay.
But
So
yeah,
did you spent about 2 years at that small Hollywood
I
show?
was actually there for my first year. So 82, so it had to be 83. I was in Hollywood there with Sally and Bill. And then the next year, I went up to New Jersey. I don't remember why I chose that, but I do know that I was really interested in traveling and going to different places. So I'm guessing that might have been why. I'm not sure if Sally was doing the show again in Hollywood, but I went up to New Jersey, and that was Bill, or not Bill, Robbie and Randy Messer. And they were the show director, and she was the female lead. And they were both amazing, but she was also a treat to watch. She had these long, long legs, long lines. She was a beautiful swiveler. And I learned from her that summer. And then Barb Wolf, I don't know if you know Barb Wolf, she came up to New Jersey to watch the show. I don't know the reasoning for it, but she asked me if I wanted to work at Cypress Gardens or if I was interested. I don't know if she was hiring or she just called Lynn Novakovsky to talk about. I have no idea. But the next thing I know, I was not going back to college, and I drove straight down to, well, I stopped in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and worked there for a month. And then I ended up in Cypress Gardens, and that was a full-time job year round. And I stayed there for 10 years. Yeah.
10 years. Well, tell us about that. Everybody's got stories from the gardens. Tell us about what you did. And, I think you were part of the first 5 tier, people you skied with, traveling around the world. I mean, what do you
Yes.
got?
Well, I think one of the highlights of Cypress Gardens, and it is a huge, huge part of my life. It is the camaraderie, the friends, even the people you didn't get along with. They're still your sisters and brothers. They're your friends for life. They are part of my life, my history. Um, and one of the things I think that I liked also the most about Cypress Gardens was all the traveling I got to do. So I went to Jordan 3 times to ski for King Hussein of Jordan's. It was always his birthday, and they had a ski show there that we performed for. So I went there. I went to Colombia. I went to the French Antilles. I forgot what it was. Anyways, the French Antilles, Canada. I went to the United Arab Emirates, and throughout Europe as well. And then when I was teaching, I also went throughout Europe. But I love that as well, and I love the fact that coming from where I was with Sally the first year was in this little tiny pond, and Cypress Gardens the ski show was on this big lake on a chain of lakes. So there was tons of lakes that we could go. And I could literally go in before work, get a boat with a couple other friends, and we would go out and ski before work. We could ski in between. We'd usually have 4 shows. We could ski in between each show. I could ski after work. And I could come in on my days off and I could ski. So
Yeah.
I was just so into it. That's all I wanted to do was ski. Everything revolved around skiing for me. So,
Isn't that
and
amazing? Like,
yeah,
those days have dwindled in professional shows, right? There aren't a lot of there. I mean, the full time 4 show a day professional show, they're few and far between now,
yeah.
and it's so cool that you got to live that.
Oh, I did, and I had so much fun, and I loved it. And there was other people. I mean, first of all, I used to, whenever anybody complained, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, we are skiing for a living. Are you kidding me? I'm getting paid, and I get to travel, and they even paid for me to finish college. So, I
Wow.
mean, I had so many benefits, and to me, it was just huge. So that was, from I don't know, 20 to 30 years old, I was there. So it was perfect.
Who'd you ski with at that time?
Oh, okay. I
Now you've got a
actually,
bad memory. I know you've already said
yes,
this, so you don't. We won't hold you to too many names.
She's got.
But
It looks like she's got a list.
I
when you
do
take,
because
that's funny. That's awesome. When you would take the boat out between shows, who'd you go hang out with and ski with?
the ones who wanted to ski, Sherry
Yeah.
Orloff,
Uh huh.
Michelle says, not everybody likes skiing with me. And that's the honest truth is they'll tell you I hated skiing with Cheryl. And it was because, I think it was because I took so long skiing. I hogged the
Your
time.
sets were
So
really long.
yes, I mean, I was timed that I could do 45 minutes. And that's a long time, but I loved it. So
Yeah.
anyways, not everybody likes skiing with me, but Carmen Albright, but Annie Campbell because she was the teacher, and I'm talking mostly females here.
Yep.
Um, but Annie Campbell, Jeannie Beyer, Joy Wiesehagel, she was actually my roommate for a while. Um, Rochelle Cook, Rachel Markham, Betty Bonifay, um, of course, Sherry Orloff, the Shannon and Lindsay Wilmoth, Kathy Angusseth. She was always, her and Sherry were always the top of the pyramids. Um, and and I had Kathy a lot on my side. We had a little system for climbing, so she was always kind of on my side. Like for the I'm trying to think the 4 tier, 5 tier pyramids, whatever. But the we did 2 of the 5 tier pyramids. Amy Chinnery, Alicia Wilson, Jennifer Clary, Stacy Lennox, Booty, which is Belena Bonifay, Shelley Blum, Sean Corbett, Lisa Boisard, uh, Karen Kiekafer, Karen, I don't remember her maiden name. Stacy Wells, Michelle Morris, Nancy Daly, and then the boat drivers were Russell Daly, Jimmy Campbell, Donald Morris, and Donnie Croft. Those were the main guys, and oh my
Yeah.
gosh, they
And
were
Donnie's still
incredible.
there.
Is he really? I
Yes.
I didn't know that. Yeah,
Donnie
I
Croft is still driving there.
that's amazing. They were so amazing, and I actually learned so much of driving from them. I You don't realize how good of a driver you are until you kind of leave. But they teach you how to drive, they show you how to drive, and of course all the girls and guys when you're pulling them and everything. But you become a really good driver because of
Hmm.
those guys.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. They were amazing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
You were among the best for many years in your peak years. We posted that fantastic swivel run from 1993 at the Gardens. That is legendary. So cool. You won a national championship at Division I Nationals in 2000.
Yeah.
Talk about those days and kind of your peak swivel years. You mentioned, some of the people you skied with. Were they also your competitors in your heyday?
Um, Sherry and Betty and they were the ones that were competing all the time. Sally wasn't competing by the time I got in. So, and then there was Sherry Coover from California.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was mostly just the SeaWorld of Orlando girls that would come over and the Cypress Gardens girls. Those were the ones that would compete in the Cypress Gardens. But everybody was always very helpful and good and um, cheered you on. I mean, maybe a couple days or a week before, you kind of might not. I probably wouldn't go out in the same boat with Sherry right before my competition,
Sure.
but we always worked with each other.
Hmm.
But I think I probably got it from Nancy Daly, but I always kind of wanted a little bit of surprise, element of surprise. So kind of didn't want to show everybody everything, but it was hard because you're skiing with them all the time.
Right. You're skiing with them every day, right?
Yeah. But and I actually forgot the main question you asked me.
Well, I mean, just how were the? Did you enjoy competing? Let me ask you that.
Okay. Yes, I enjoyed the process. The process was probably my most favorite part. I loved putting together the routine, the music, the theme, the costuming. I designed so many of my costumes, and then Lisa Stibbe would, or Kim Zimmerman would actually make my costumes. They would put what was in my head, on paper
Hmm.
and make it. And so there was a group of people that I worked with in that way, but I loved the process. I loved the part of, like I said, creating, and I would literally sleep and dream. I know people teased me about it, but I would dream about swivel skiing and routines, and um, I I somehow that's how I kind of created some things. But that was kind of all in my head because I was just so into it. But the actual competition day, that was a little bit harder for me. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I um, I I don't know. I mean, I kind of do, but that's a long story. Don't I was gonna say I don't know why, but I do. But I think once I went away from competing, and I did, Sherry and I and others went back and forth all the time, with all the different competitions. But it was a struggle for me. And when I left and went over to California to do stunt work, I went back. I still skied and swiveled out there, and I had my group of friends out there. And I came back in 2000 to do that nationals.
Hmm.
And one of the reasons I think I did so well is because I was relaxed. It wasn't like I wasn't so consumed. Don't get me wrong, I think there's good things about being consumed, but
Hmm.
I was too consumed. And so when I just went there and performed because I love performing, then I did so great. I mean, it was one of my highlights of my career is 2000 nationals, and I don't even remember the post that you posted. I don't remember that. I,
Huh.
I, I mean, I remember doing it,
Yeah.
but I don't remember it. Don Booth, I believe, is the one who showed me that video years ago. He sent it to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, where did you come up with this?" And
Yeah.
he said, I think he or somebody that he knew, anyways, he had it on
Yep.
his YouTube or something, and I was like, "Wow, that was definitely one of my best for
And that was
sure."
'93, and then and people have said that your 2000 Nationals run was one of the best they've ever seen.
I was
So
happy with that. Yes,
yeah.
thank you. I was definitely happy with that. And I, again, I think it was just I was in a different frame of mind. I mean, I was working, doing stunts, but yet I wanted to come back. And 2000 happened to be a great year. It was the year I got my husband proposed. It was the year I did nationals, and I got married the same year.
That's
So
awesome.
it was kind of like everything.
It's great stuff.
Oh.
Adam, Cheryl was at the top of the sport for many years, and so is the board shop. They are 20 years in the business. They have everything you've ever want for your summer and winter sports gear. They got it all.
Yeah, that's right. Their main shop is located in Lake Geneva, and they have boards, bindings, apparel, accessories, and more. Need some summer gear at sale prices? The board shop has it. Need to outfit yourself and your family to hit the slopes this winter? They have that too.
Yep, they sure do. Visit their shop in Lake Geneva or find everything you need online at bswake.com. That's bswake.com. So, perfect segue here. You mentioned, having gone out to California and started your stunt career, and you actually came back for that 2000 Nationals. Talk about that transition to a stunt career. How did that come about? What attracted you to stunt work? How did that transition happen?
I was dating a guy, another skier at the time, and at Cypress Gardens, and I had said I wanted to try out for the Universal Studios stunt show. And we had gone over there and we auditioned and we both got the job. And so I started meeting more stunt people. I was still skiing at Cypress Gardens, and then I'd drive over to do the show over there in Orlando. And then I ended up working at Disney, another live stunt show. So I was doing both live stunt shows, and I started dating another guy who is now my husband. And that's when he said, well, just so you know, I know we're dating, but I'm going to be moving out to California to do stunt work. And I'm like, oh, okay. We'll date until you leave. And he left, and he called and said, do you want to come out? And I said, sure, why not? It's like, I don't know. I was kind of like, I loved skiing and I loved performing, but I had been there 10 years, and I started getting into the stunts, and I realized I could make more money doing stunts. And so I was ready, because now I'm in my 30s and I'm like, I need to make more money. So I decided that was kind of my transition. And then I got a place when I was out in California, and it was a struggle. It was hard. I went through all my savings. I just had a really hard time. My husband had an easy time, because I shouldn't say easy, but easier, because he was already in the business. He was working. He was doing fine. But for me, I really didn't know anybody. And so anyways, it was hard, but my husband kept teaching me to do fire burns, to do we always would go out and do stunt driving. We would do motorcycle stunts. We would do rollerblade stunts. That's what we did as a couple. We would just go out and do all these different fun things. And that
Hey, honey, you want to go hop on the back of this motorcycle and do some crazy shit?
Yeah,
okay.
Except it wasn't
Honey,
on
I'm
the
going to
back
light your
end.
ass on fire tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and just so you know, when it came to the burns, he was like, "Oh, let me set you on fire," and I'm like, no. I draw the line there," and he's like, "I'm really good at it," and I'm like, "Nope." And so I watched him actually set up other people on fire for a couple months, maybe 3 months, and finally, I said, "Okay, I can see that you're good. I can see that you haven't burned anybody. I can see that I would be safe." So he taught me. I mean, I watched him and helped him, and stuff, but he taught me how to do it, and he's amazing, and he's still an amazing fire burn specialist. So, yeah. But yeah, we did all that fun stuff together. And so, anyways, now that I'm out in California, I bought a boat. I was working. Finally, I started working. Speed 2 was my breakthrough job, and I was on it for, I don't know, I can't remember, but weeks. I was on it for weeks, so I made a lot of money. And so I was like, okay, I can now put some aside, because I didn't know when my next job was going to come. That's the hardest part of stunt work, is you don't know the next job. So Mark always taught me, put money aside, have enough savings for at least 6 months. That's what he'd always tell me. Put money aside for 6 months. Okay. So that's what I did. But then things got where I was working more and more, and I was meeting more and more people. People knew me more for water skiing and boat driving. I did a lot of boat driving. I had a boat. So my boat ended up in a lot of commercials and stuff like that. And all the water ski stuff was never glamorous. There was only, I think, one pyramid that we did, but all of the rest were crashes. It was, you know, crashing on a beach, like flying in really fast, rolling and tumbling on the beach.
Uh-huh.
Not fun, but not really the kind of stuff I want to do. And personally, I loved water skiing and performing way better than stunts. Stunts paid more, but I loved water skiing way more. I had the satisfaction in water skiing. Yeah. You
So
don't, go ahead.
I mean, you were on nearly 70 shows and movies, right? As a like a stunt double or stunt actress, correct?
Oh, yeah, I did a lot. I did a lot in, I think it was from uh, 30, the age of 30 to 44-ish. So 14, 15 years, somewhere in there. And I ended up in Stuntwoman's Association of Motion Pictures. And so I was in that for a while. But then once I had kids, I realized for me, I couldn't be a mom and do the stunts because my husband did stunts too. So we never had regular hours. And so it was really tough to take a job that they said, okay, your call time's 11 o'clock at night, or whatever. I mean, it was really challenging because neither of us had a regular schedule. So I decided to stay home and raise my kids. And I think it was the best choice I ever made. And I didn't need to do stunts. I was fine. I mean, I loved doing that while I did it, but I was done.
You mentioned Speed 2, the movie. Any other big movies or perhaps people that you doubled for? You want to, throw those names out
Names
there that
out.
people might know?
Selma Hayek. I doubled in Dogma and Once Upon a Time in Mexico. And she did request me for her next film, but the stunt coordinator already had a double for her. And so that was the end of that. She was a really great actress, very, very kind, and I enjoyed that. Jamie Presley, I doubled on a movie called Torque, and that was all motorcycle stunts.
Motorcycles. Seen it. Yep.
Yeah, so I did a lot of stunt, mostly stunt riding. So, and
Where'd you learn how to ride?
well, I rode when I was a kid, so I had a
Yeah.
Trail 70. And
Yeah.
then when I started dating my husband, Mark, I got I forgot what it was called, a Cero. I got that motorcycle so I could go on and off road with it. And then once I moved out to California, I got a Honda Shadow and 600, then a CBR 600, and then a R1, and that's the one I did most of my stunts on.
What a
And
badass. What a badass. That's so awesome.
but that's the one where Mark and I. So once we were out in California, I told you we always did things together,
Yeah.
and this was before we had kids. And he'd say, "Hey, let's go stunt riding." I'm like, "Okay." So I put these things on my bike. I forgot what they're called, but protectors. And we would go out to this place and I would do stunt riding on motorcycles. And I mean, literally, and I think I was good at it because of swivel skiing, because of my balance. But I would go downhill, I would jump on the top, and I would stand on the bike and I would do things like that. And I also did wheelies and endos, nose wheelies, and I did things where I would, ride off the side and then kick up onto the bike. And I did slides. I did 90s, really good 90s. I mean, and these bikes are big. The hardest part was because I'm so short. So, so I dropped the bike a number of times learning for sure, but I loved it. It was fun, and we did that together. My husband obviously he was really good at it, and he taught me a lot of the tricks. And he had really good balance because he was a college gymnast, and he was a good stunt man.
You still ride bikes?
Nope. Sold them all.
All right.
Yeah, it was hard. It was sitting in the garage forever. And as the kids were getting older, I'm like, I was always with the kids. I couldn't take them anywhere. It was just sitting there. And my husband still rode. And then it got to the point where he wasn't riding much anymore. And we had 17 motorcycles at one time, and 14 or 17. I'm not sure what it is. But anyways, we had a lot of motorcycles at one time. And we realized the kids just weren't getting into it. And we sold them all. So that was it. And it's also a little bit more challenging because most people aren't driving out there. They're on their phones, so it's kind of
so it's more
unsafe.
dangerous.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
little bit more unsafe in LA. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You've done some big movies, you mentioned. Out of curiosity, do stunt performers like you still collect royalties from movies like that?
Yes.
That, now streaming and everything, if Netflix picks up a movie that you were in, that's still a part of your income? Like, you still maybe get a surprise check in the mail once in a while?
Yes, I do get checks still all the time, but the amounts have dwindled.
Okay.
So we used to get, good amounts, and we were happy. I mean, because especially if you didn't work for a few weeks, you're like, oh, I got some money. So, so I still get the checks, but they're much smaller, and I couldn't live off of them. It's just nice surprises that add into the bank account. So, but I don't know all of it, because I know that the streaming, I think that's why it's I don't know I've kind of haven't kept up with all the rules and everything, but I know it's because of the streaming that we don't get much residuals anymore. So, unfortunately.
Well, you were, we talked a little bit about this beginning of the episode, but you were out of show skiing for many years, but then got back into it as a member of the 2014 Team USA. Talk about that experience.
Okay, so I was very honored because you and David, I can't remember who called me. Was it you, Matt, or was it David?
That's a great question. I don't even remember anymore. I mean,
I don't
that was 10
either.
years ago now, but I remember us talking about wanting to add you to the team and making that phone call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember getting the phone call, and like I said, I was very honored and I was very excited, and I felt like I would have been a great asset because I was still skiing really strong at that point. The interesting thing, which I don't know if you know this or not, but it was January of that year, 2014. I did a commercial, and they basically had to drown myself a million times. Had water in my mouth, out my nose. It was horrible. I was very sick, and then I don't know what happened. I don't know if that was part of it. I don't know whatever, but I felt like for some reason I wasn't as strong. And after that commercial, I was going to the doctor quite a bit to try and get to get me back to normal because I just wasn't. But anyways, I got to Worlds and I don't remember a lot. I don't know why.
It was freezing cold.
I remember that.
Yep.
I remember it was freezing cold. I remember
we had like some
feet.
40-degree practice mornings.
Yes.
It was brutal that week.
Yes, it was very, very cold, and I was not used to that. And I remember my feet were in a lot of pain, and I didn't realize how bad. I have neuroma, whatever, but I didn't, and that's probably from being barefoot for so many years skiing. But I have bad feet, and so that was a problem. And I remember the group, and everybody was so friendly and good, and it was exciting, and everybody was so talented, and everybody worked really well together. I remember that, but I do remember the cold. But
Yeah.
it was 3 weeks after, because for some reason I felt sick, but I wasn't sick. but yet I kept feeling sick and I couldn't understand. And then when I went home, I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I couldn't figure it out. Anyways, I'm going to make a long story short is I ended up being sick, and that was all, and I didn't know it. And it was really hard. And you could say, what were you sick from? They have no label. It's, I just, we don't know what it is, but I had autoimmune. I had a water virus, probably from that commercial. I had
Wow.
really bad blood sugar issues. I just had a lot, and memory issues. It was my body, my hormones, my cortisol, everything was tanked. I was a mess. And I ended up with migraines from that point on. And so, and that's probably why I kind of associate it with all that timing. And I'm not saying it was because, I mean, what an honor to be at Worlds, but for some reason, my body was just, I don't know if being 50 all of a sudden, because I was 50 in May of that year, and I was 49 before, and everybody says as soon as you turn 50, everything falls apart. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, okay, that happened to me. So I don't
Uh-huh.
know, but it was still exciting to be at Worlds. I wish that I would have done better. I wish that, you can always wish for things, but
We
I
loved having you on the team. You, correct me if I'm wrong, you skied with Ginny in a
yes.
pair. Is that correct? So that
Yes,
was fun.
she was my partner, and
Yeah.
she's so amazing, and she's so flexible, and
Yeah.
she had she had a lot of, what I always find so important is, the turnout and the stance and the just, the show appearance. And
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
was an honor to be skiing with her too. Yes, for
Nice.
sure.
Do you still get out and ski?
So, yes, I'm in Idaho. I don't know if you know that, but so our ski season is probably the same as in the Midwest.
Hmm.
But I have my boat. I don't have a lot of people to ski with here, unfortunately. So the friend that I had in California, she moved here. I am so lucky, but she's busy all the time. But we got to go a few times. And so I don't have a pin puller. So, and I haven't had a pin puller since I left California. And so I will do overhead, reverse overhead, flip, extend, recover, extended hand to hand, split catches, just some basics. So, yes, I can still do it. I'm not as flexible. I'm not as strong. And I certainly can't last 45 minutes. I can last maybe 10 minutes if I'm lucky. And that's with a lot of breaks in between. So,
Well,
so
that's
yeah.
awesome. Great that you're still getting out there. That's so cool to hear. You coached Swivel for many years. I want to talk about this. You were one of my sister Kristen's coaches as she became a national Swivel champion and a Willa Cook Award winner. Let's talk about that for a minute. I want to talk about kind of your perspective on coaching. I assume you really enjoyed it, but you're known for your artistry, your technique, your flow and transitions from trick to trick. What was important to you as you trained, as you built a swivel routine, as you helped coach people? What were some of those kind of hallmarks that were Cheryl Bermeo teaching techniques? Just talk about that whole experience of coaching.
I loved coaching. Excuse me. I loved coaching. I loved teaching, and I love to bring out the best in any of the girls. And, talking about your sister, she was one of her and Ginny and the Straub sisters, were they
Yep,
in the same
Sarah and
place?
Leah, you
Okay.
bet. Yep.
And uh, I can't think of, I mean, there's more after that, but I think those were the main ones back with your
Hmm.
team at the time. And they had dance.
Laura
Laura.
Bernstein. Yep.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yep.
Okay. And they had dance, and that was exciting to me. And I never felt like anybody needed to be a ballerina. I wasn't a ballerina. I took a lot of ballet, but you could never put me in a ballet. I mean, that would have been a joke. But I took what was important, and I wanted the girls to learn how to apply it, because back when I was at Cypress Gardens, Lynn Novakovsky had come up to me and asked me, we were taking ballet lessons in house there with Annie Campbell. And Lynn came up to me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in going to, I forgot what it's called, University of Tampa, whatever. There was a college out there." And he said, "Would you be interested in going out there for ballet classes?" I said, "Oh, I'd love it." And it ended up being like 2 hours a day, 4 days a week for a semester. I was like, wow, that was a lot. But I would drive back and forth. It was an hour drive. And I would be with these real ballerinas. I mean, they were real ballet girls, and they were thin, petite. And then there was me, and I was really strong at the time. And they were looking at me like, what are you doing here? Because I certainly didn't fit in. But anyways, then I would go from the class and I'd go back to the ski site, and I would work on what they taught me. And I tried to figure out how to put that on my ski, how to make my body do it while I was on a swivel ski holding a rope, because obviously you're not holding a rope when you're doing ballet. So I had to just kind of figure out how to do that. And I worked on it for quite a bit. And so, and Sally Winter was the one, obviously, who taught me to swivel. And she was very into ballet. And like, the very first thing she even said to me, as I had these straight arms, and they kind of hyperextended. And I remember her saying, "Okay, Bermeo, your arms look like shit." And I was like, "Okay, tell me what to do." And I wasn't offended. I was like, "Fix me. Just fix me. Make me look like you want me to look, and make me do that curvy stuff." And, and she did. And so anyways, fast forward to when I was going to the college and coming back and putting it all together, and Lynn would help me, and I think Sherry would, and some of the other girls. I would kind of be so excited of what I learned, and then I try to put it. And my big dream, seriously, was to do pirouettes on the ski, which is just on one leg, obviously, but kind of like a ballerina, and it would be continuous, kind of like what the girls are doing now. They're just turning and 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, that was my dream, to do that. Never did it. So, I mean, the most I got was 3. So anyways, and then the other thing was, Sally always, I remember her saying it, and it just stuck in my head. Because she worked with me when I first got to Cypress Gardens. She wasn't working there, but we would go off and ski together. And then I didn't see her for a while, but at first, when we'd ski, she would say, "Okay, you got the tricks, Bermeo." She always called me Bermeo. She'd say, "You got the tricks, but you need to put them all together." And I'm like, "How do I do it?" And she'd say, "Pull once." And I was like, "And then what?" Like, I don't get it. And she just kept putting it in my head, and I'm like, I got it. And so I just kept working on it, so that when I would teach the girls, from what I learned from Sally, is you pull once and keep that rhythm and that flow and the momentum going throughout the entire pass. So that was my goal. And that's what I always wanted to teach the girls. And it was easy to teach girls that had ballet or dance lessons, because they understood what turnout was. They understood what square hips were, or keeping your shoulders down, or so that, they weren't having their shoulders up in their ears, and things like that. So it was exciting to teach Kristen and Ginny and the rest of the girls, because they could hear, and it was exciting to I mean, I remember Kristen too. I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's got these long legs." And she just would listen, and she would do. She would listen and she would do. I was like, yes, that's it. So it was exciting. So I love teaching. And that was the thing that I wanted most, is to teach anybody I was teaching, was to teach them the ballet aspect and how important it was because of the lines. You get much more beautiful lines when you have the ballet foundation. So that was, I guess, what was important to me. And I love teaching. So, and there was other girls that I taught too. When I was in California, I worked with Molly Schaefer. She came out to see me a couple times,
Yeah.
and I know that I went to once I was in California, I went to a few places and I taught. I can't remember all the girls though, but when I do see them and they, remind me or ask me questions or ask me certain things, I get so excited
Well,
because I still love it.
You coached a whole generation of girls in it, and it's fun to watch this next generation. So like, there was a time when you were either coached by Cheryl Bermeo, Cheryl Orloff, or Betty Bonifay.
Yes.
Like that was Swivel girls in the 90s and 2000s were coached by you guys.
Yes.
It was one of the three of you. They were a disciple of one of the three of you.
Yes.
And now today there's a whole new crop of swivel coaches that are, Kristen and Jenny have done coaching, and now they're Bria, Imsey, and Caroline Grubbs, and they're out there coaching and giving back in the same way. And so now this whole next generation of people are going to be coached in a similar way, and it's all passed down over the years from, legends like you.
Yeah, it is exciting to see them do all the teaching. I don't see them do it, but I hear about it, and it's exciting. And I think Shauna Passanen, with her having all of the tournaments, and I'm like, oh my
girl,
yes. I mean, that's such a big thing for these girls, and it keeps them moving forward and going towards something and reaching goals, and that's very exciting and good for them. Yeah, for sure.
So as we, kind of get to wrapping up here today, I want to ask you, as we, you talked about your coaching and how you were taught and what you learned with ballet. You see now the boom in swivel skiing right now is massive. The amount of swivelers, the way the difficulty has gone through the roof now. What advice do you have for swivel skiers today?
Being that I'm not around very many, but because I'm not around anybody that swivels out here, especially in Idaho. But I mean, follow your dreams. But for me personally, I still believe in putting everything together. Like, get some dance, and again, it doesn't mean you have to be a ballerina or a specialist at it. But if you do that, a little bit of ballet here, skiing here, maybe seeing shows, because obviously shows, whether it's America's Got Talent or mine was watching Cher, because I always got costume ideas from Cher. So, but just taking it all in and following your passion and following your dreams, and it's good to go and ski with different people and learn different, like from Sherry. Like, I learned different stuff from Sherry. We have two very different styles, but I still learned so much from her. And even Sally, I had a different style than Sally, but I learned so much from her. So you can learn so much from all the different girls, and keeping that camaraderie and building all these girls up, just constantly building them up, is probably very important. Yeah.
Cheryl, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but there is a long line of show skiers that have transitioned into stunt work. In fact, we've had a few on this podcast.
Yeah.
Did you start that? I mean, were you the OG on this?
I think I was. I may have been. I'd say I was, and then I think Hank Amos kind of took it further. Like, he really dove into it, and he did a really good job. I haven't really kept up with all of it. My husband knows him and has, at the time, kept up because I was with kids. But uh, I know that when I first started, um, it was a big deal to go into stunts. And um, again, it was a financial thing, because
It paid better than show skiing
yes,
did.
by far. So it was like a really good transition. And for the the water skiers, all your talented water skiers, show skiers, they are talented. So if they can do that, they can do stunts. You have to work at different skills, and you have to work at knowing kind of the business. But once you do that, it's a kind of a natural transition, and especially like we went from the Cypress Garden Ski Show, and a lot of your really good stunt performers come from live stunt shows, which is Disney and Universal. So, and back in Florida, where there's a lot of show skiers, obviously, there's a lot of stunt shows there. So it's a nice transition, an easier transition. And again, as long as they're willing to put in the time and energy into learning new stuff, which they should be because they're all talented. Like I can't believe there's not even more.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's been fun to watch that, progression and different people dive into it. Hank did,
Mhm.
Paul O'Connor,
Yeah.
Seth Fraze, Troy Roker,
Oh, I
and a
didn't
lot
know
of
that.
them started in live stunt shows. They were Paul and Troy were Indiana Jones at Universal. They've done that, and then
At
they've
Disney.
or at Disney.
You did.
Sorry,
Yep. Yep.
yes,
Yeah.
at Disney, and they're transitioned into bigger stunt careers. And then other people have gone to the show in Japan,
Uh-huh.
the Waterworld show. Rachel Zank idolized you and became a stunt woman herself in that show. And so
That's
it's been cool
awesome.
to see. And you were, like Adam said, the OG, kind of you started that for show skiers, and it's been fun to watch that transition for a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm glad they have that to go to. I am glad about that.
Mhm.
And when I was in California, um, two show ski guys, Tim Mekalecki and Todd Bloomer, I would water ski with them, and Karen Justman, I believe is her name. They were all show skiers, and I skied with them, and they were all stunt guys or stunt
Yeah.
people. So
Travis Voisard's in it,
yeah,
in stunt.
I didn't know
It's
that. I
fun.
just
Yeah,
recently heard that. So yes,
yeah,
that's exciting. Yeah.
yeah. Well, Cheryl, this has been a real treat. So fun to have you on the show to catch up. Our audience is going to love hearing about your career and what you're up to. Thank you so much for doing this podcast and being on the show today.
Oh, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. I was hesitant, and I just want to tell you, I was only hesitant because um, I have such a bad memory, and it scares me. It really
Well, you did
scares me.
awesome. This
So
was fantastic, and this is
thank
going to
you.
be a popular episode. So
Yep.
thank you so much for doing
Thank you,
it.
Cheryl.
Thank you for everything, you
Yeah,
guys. Take care.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Well, Adam, let's wrap today. I want to congratulate again all the participants in the record-setting big pulls, Guinness World Record holders, all over the place. That is awesome. We want to thank in advance our awards committee for the Ski Show Awards. They are cranking out hours of work in really they're our academy. This is the Oscars of show skiing. The Ski Show Awards is the biggest deal in awards for show skiing, and this committee is fantastic in putting in all kinds of work. I'm going to thank our sponsors today, Flyman Skis, custom-made jump skis, featherboard swivel skis at affordable prices. Get yours at flymanskis.com. And the Board Shop. All your summer and winter gear is yours at bswake.com.
Yep, and listen up, Swivel Girls. Cheryl did not start swivel skiing until she was 18, and they had to put a time limit on her when she skied her sets, 45 minutes. So it's all about putting in the time, which is fantastic. Thanks again to all of our listeners. This is Matt and Adam, and this is The Ski Show.
Thank you for listening to The Ski Show, the ultimate show ski podcast with Matt and Adam. If you have questions or ideas for the show, find us on social media or message us at theskishowpodcast@gmail.com.